the name the 187 Club. California Penal Code 187 is the designation for a homicide, and it was that terrible bond that the club members had in common. This was a club no one wanted to join. Membership demanded the awful price of losing a loved one to violent crime. Langston Walker, retired Detective Langston Walker, had started the club after putting in 30 years at LAPD, his last 8 with robbery-homicide. But Walker didn't found the 187 Club because of his professional status. Like the other members, he too had lost a loved one. His youngest son had been caught in the crossfire when 2 gangs decided to shoot it out. Walker started up the 187 Club 2 years after his son was murdered and right before his retirement from the force. He'd made lemonade instead of hemlock. He didn't have a degree in counseling and knew nothing about grief therapy, but that didn't stop him from organizing monthly meetings. The 187 Club had no elected officers, and Walker didn't have an official title, but club members referred to him as the speaker for the dead. Homicide detectives often say that's their job, speaking for the dead. Running the club probably wasn't the retirement Walker once envisioned, but doing so had kept him busy in the almost 4 years since. During the 15 minutes Sirius and I had been out walking, the parking lot had filled up. From a distance I could see people making their way to the community center. It seemed to me they walked with heavy steps. Individuals who've had to endure the murder of a loved one were invariably marked. There was a weight they carried, a yoke that couldn't be shrugged off. Several cars in the parking lot displayed the same bumper sticker. Someone I love was murdered. I also saw the bumper sticker, "Guns don't die, people do," and another that read, "It's easier to child-proof your gun than bulletproof your child." Gallows humor, with hard kernels of truth, has always been my way of coping as well. Sirius and I made our way to the entrance of the meeting room and then stood there waiting for Walker to notice our arrival. I wasn't in any rush to go inside. The room was packed, and that was enough to make me feel hot and claustrophobic. My phobia is a byproduct of having been badly burned in a canyon fire set by a psychopathic serial killer who thought no one would be stupid enough to go into an inferno to try and capture him. I had been that stupid. Sirius and I got our man, but we also got shot and badly burned. Even now I bear the scars, including a prominent one on my face. Then again, I was never leading man material. I could see Walker circulating through the crowded room. It seemed like he had a word and a hug for everyone. I didn't know him very well. We'd met at a few functions and at 1 or 2 crime scenes. Walker was around 60 and powerfully built, with a big chest and thick thighs. He was about my height, but probably had 50 pounds on me. Like half the people in the room, he was African American. Bullets are colorblind, but even though black people make up fewer than 10% of Los Angeles' population, they comprise almost a third of the city's homicides. That's not to say that every race, creed, and color wasn't represented. In the room were Hispanics, Asians, Native Americans, Persians, Indians, Arabs, and Caucasians. LA is polyglot central. Whites are no longer in the majority. Almost half of LA is now of Latino ancestry. In the 90s, the LAPD acknowledged the changing demographics of the city and over the years has come to field a force that better reflects the faces of its community. We're not a Coca-Cola commercial, and the force doesn't sing in perfect harmony, but on the whole, we're the same color. Blue. A Hispanic woman who looked to be about 30 whispered something in Walker's ear, which prompted him to turn around and take notice of Sirius and me. He waved and then reversed course. On the way over to us, he stopped to shake more hands and give more hugs. A politician might have learned a few things from him. He finally reached us and we shook hands. "Thanks for coming, Mike," he said. "Or do you prefer Michael?" "Either is fine, but most people just call me Gideon." "Then Gideon it is." "What about you?"
"These days I'm just plain old Langston. That's the way I like it, even though